Good evening, afternoon, night, morning, whenever you find your way to watch or listen to this podcast. It is me, Omar of Hardware, and we're about, I think, exactly a month away from the kickoff of college football season. And I'm joined by an old friend of the podcast. We have UTEP Zay Galindo joining me to talk some UTEP ball. I mean, it's media day season, and amidst other big college athletic news happening. We're not talking about that news, but rather a statement made by Sam Houston State coach Casey Keeler. So, Zay, thanks for coming on, man. How's everything going?
Yeah, everything's going great. I'm ready for college football. I'm ready for football in general.
Yeah, we all are, and I mean, like, thankfully, it's not as much of a gap as I guess us waiting for football because the USFL just finished, the CFL is holding us over, and as well as the indoor football league has their playoffs right now, so plenty of football to go around. But I mean, of course, we're both college football guys, so that's what we long for the most. So I mean, yeah, but we're almost there for sure.
Yeah, this last spring I got into Mexican college football. I mean, I was that down bad. So
Hey, I don't see it as being down bad. I see it as broadening your horizons. And I mean, El Paso is gonna have a team that's gonna be playing like Mexican teams next year. With the I know it's LFA. I don't know what it stands for, but I'm excited for I guess pro football coming to El Paso. So even more football, the more the merrier.
was Mary. I love it.
Yeah, so with that being said, our topic today, of course, Conference USA Media Day, as I mentioned earlier. And yesterday, Casey Keeler made a quote about, I don't know how it was prompted, whether a reporter asked him about it or not, but he made a quote about the UTEP series with Sam Houston State and saying that he wants to make UTEP a rival. And they've had talks about them being a neutral site game. So, first, I want to know your opinion on first Sam Houston State being a potential rival for UTEP, and then also the game being potentially played at a neutral site.
Yeah, the Sam Houston state rivalry that could be, you know, I look at that kind of like how I look at, North Texas and UTSA, in-state conference rivals that I think UTEP fans in the past took for granted. I mean, down the stretch, these past couple of games with North Texas, whether it was football or basketball, I mean, they were really heated. They got really, they were fun college athletic games. And I think a lot of UTEP fans did not want to kind of admit that they were basically conference rivals, and I'd love for Sam Houston State to be a conference rival of the Miners.
Yeah, I'd have to agree because I mean it's funny that you mentioned UTSA and North Texas. Now with the current alignment of Conference USA, there really aren't those like fun trips across Texas for UTEP fans to take. I mean, there's just that trip to Sam Houston State in Huntsville, Texas, with Huntsville being about an hour or so away from Houston, but again, not exactly Houston and not exactly the Houston Metro. So definitely would be great for them to be a rivalry. I can see UTEP fans showing out for that game, and I can see Sam Houston State fans showing out for the UTEP game as well. As they have a very strong fan base and they're very excited about the FBS move. But it's a good point about taking them for granted because I feel like it's happened every step along the way in this realignment wave. I mean, if you go back to SMU, as I wrote in my article, SMU leaving Conference USA for the American. That's one rival from the WAC days, from back when SMU joined the WAC. That left I guess UTEP without really a rival in conference. And then now North Texas. Granted, that rivalry wasn't really known across the country or didn't really have many big games, except for like one game in 2020 where the Myrtle Beach Bowl was up for grabs. But aside from that, like not really any big games, but still a fun atmosphere. And the same thing with UTSA as well, going to the American. So I'm all for it, honestly. But part of me as well as a peer is kind of hurts seeing rivalries have to be manufactured, in this current landscape of college football.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just when I look at this whole the realignment and everything, I was talking to a couple of UTEP fans who they're a little older than me. They were just talking about hey, they was just maybe 15 years ago we were starting to consider Houston a rival, and now they're in the Big 12. So it's just like a lot of them feel left behind. A lot of UTEP fans are just they're not as in it as they usually were.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't blame them because I mean, it's great that New Mexico State is in conference for the first time in I think over 60 years. with UTEP. I think that's amazing. It's great for college football. But you look at the rest of the conference, it is hard for UTEP fans to be excited with Liberty, FIU, who else? I guess Kennesaw State coming in the conference as well. It's hard for them to get excited too. I mean, when you just look at, like you said, them being left behind by, Houston or former WAC rivals, in the Mountain West that have since, been in the Mountain West and even the Pac-12 when you talk about Utah. So it is sad, but I mean, you got to make lemons out of lemonade, for sure. So I mean, hopefully, I guess Sam Houston State would benefit more from having a rivaling conference than UTEP because, of course, we mentioned the New Mexico State rivalry being a thing. But yeah, like I'm definitely all for it. Now for the second part of Casey Keeler's statement about the game being played at a neutral site. I want to know, I guess, in general, are you a fan of neutral site games that aren't the traditional ones, whether it's like Florida, Georgia, Oklahoma, Texas, or Army, Navy? Are you a fan of those neutral site games, or do you prefer having games kept on campus?
Well, I'm a big on campus guy. I even think games like Florida and Georgia, I think those games would be electric on campus. But I wouldn't be opposed to that game being played in NRG. I think there's a whole lot of UTEP alum in Houston, so that'd be a nice game for them to get out to. Now that Rice is out, it's kind of tough for them to get to games. And I wouldn't mind it. I know a lot of UTEP fans are like, hey, you're giving up a home game basically to Sam Houston State every year, even though it's like, I guess an hour away from Huntsville. But I wouldn't mind it. I think it would help with recruiting, get that Houston alumni, that fan base over there, get them a chance to watch some games. I definitely would not be opposed to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's great too. It would be a flashback, of course, to the 2004 Houston Bowl, that UTEP so narrowly, I mean, almost beat Colorado in. But I mean, it's a good point as well. Like I guess getting in touch with those alumni bases, those alumni pockets that you have around the country, around the state of Texas, and especially with Rice being gone too. And the good thing with Sam Houston State is, I don't know if any Rice fans are going to go after me if I say this, but I really feel like Rice's fan base is kind of apathetic for the most part. And I mean that's like not really a bad thing because like they're a private school. They're one of the smallest enrolled schools in the FBS. So it's like you can't really blame them. But I just don't think that UTEP and Rice was ever really a rivalry just because Rice was just kind of the program just kind of has an air of apathy around them. I respect a lot of the things they've done, throughout this millennium, ending their bowl drought, but Sam Houston State fans are much more, they care much more than Rice fans, from what I feel. So NRG Stadium, I think, would be a great venue. I guess, what are your thoughts on maybe a kind of meeting in the middle? Like, I mean, I guess Dallas would kind of be a middle point, even though it's like not really, but that's kind of like I guess the big city, that would kind of serve as like that kind of like halfway point between both schools.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. Like for El Paso, there, anywhere in the middle of El Paso. If you go west, I guess you have Phoenix, but obviously Sam Houston State, that doesn't work, right? So you try to go towards Huntsville, and the biggest city in between, I guess, is San Angelo, and that's not going to work at all. So I think Dallas would be a nice venue as well. There's a lot of UTEP alum everywhere, and if you want to recruit Texas, Dallas is the place to do it. So yeah, that'd be a great venue.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to go deeper into some of the venues in Texas itself. My article that I wrote that I'll link below, I had the Cotton Bowl as like my number one option, and I know it's kind of tough. I mean, as we witness as football fans seeing all these new stadiums built, it's clearly a different time in stadiums where we aren't really appreciating these older stadiums where we're always looking for the most state of the art stadium. And I mean, these designs kind of reflect that, where these designs are futuristic. And honestly, I have my own feelings about retractable roofs and whatnot. But stuff like that. So I mean, the Cotton Bowl is I mean, they're my number one option to host a game of this magnitude, followed by either one of the Rangers ballparks slash former ballparks. So I mean, I want to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. These new stadiums, they look cool and all, but there's nothing like the old feel of a nice stadium. Kind of can't get the word for it, but it brings a home feeling to me. Whenever that's why I like the Sun Bowl so much. It's so it feels so old. It just gives me good vibes, good energy. So yeah, Cotton Bowl would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, like, and I don't know how much optics plays a factor because certainly there'll be like a lot of empty seats in the Cotton Bowl, but I mean the experience itself would definitely be great. And I mean the Cotton Bowl only hosts 2 games a year. They've tried, I wouldn't say desperately, to get other games in the stadium, other college games. I know in 2013 Army played Louisiana Tech out in the Cotton Bowl game. I wish I could have made, but I mean I was just freshman in high school. But and then like a few years later, they invited New Mexico and Air Force, where New Mexico, I mean, in their heyday, their Bob Davie heyday, beat Air Force to the Cotton Bowl. So they're always trying to get, I feel like they're always trying to get more games to that stadium because it's kind of just there for Oklahoma, Texas, and Prairie View Grambling. So I guess moving on to, I mean, what do you think about the Rangers ballparks, whether it be Choctaw Stadium, the old ballpark for the Rangers, or Globe Life Field hosting a game of this magnitude?
I wouldn't be opposed to any of those three. I think a lot of UTEP fans would like that as well. Um, yeah, I would not be opposed to any of those three. I would definitely try to get out there. It'd be an amazing experience to watch a game in one of those three ballparks, and it's something that I'm not saying it could happen, but I mean, I don't see why not. Like, I know there's a lot of obstacles they have to overcome, but if you're looking for a neutral site game, any of those four in general would work.
So my question is to, I guess, kind of tying this into another topic. So looking back at UTEP's bowl history, um the last bowl appearance that wasn't in the New Mexico Bowl for UTEP was way back in 2005 in the GMAC, which is, now the Mobile, Alabama /68 Ventures Bowl. I mean, a lot of people probably still call it the Lending Tree or whatever bowl, but the bowl in Mobile was the last time that UTEP played a postseason game outside the state of New Mexico. Do you think, with this in mind, that UTEP fans would travel to Sam Houston State to see, I guess to see UTEP play in an NFL stadium or see them play in Dallas and get that coveted, I guess neutral site appearance in the DFW?
Oh yeah, I think they would travel. Obviously, like I said, the alumni that's in that area, they'd have a chance to go out there too. They always show out. North Texas, they would show out in Denton, which is just outside of Dallas. Like I said, Rice. So I think they would show out, and I think, of course, fans from here would also travel. Um, I think UTEP would travel for any bowl game and any neutral, not any neutral site game, but I definitely think any bowl game. I think this fan base is just starving for some wins, and if UTEP's winning, I mean they'll travel, they'll pack out.
Yeah, so I mean, my question with that, I mean, you're more in tune with the UTEP community than I am. Always hoping to get more plugged in, to both neutral or both borderland schools, whether it be UTEP or New Mexico State. As a neutral party, of course. But but I guess the pulse around UTEP fans, like, were they the past 2 years when they're in the bowl mix, were they craving more for a DFW bowl appearance, whether that be in the first responder, armed forces bowl, or Frisco Bowl, or more for like a New Mexico Bowl appearance that's like easier to travel to?
I think the fan base would be split on that. I think they're more craving a bowl outside of the New Mexico Bowl. I mean, I'm tired of it, and I've literally only been able to watch three. Three of the bowls that I've watched are in the New Mexico Bowl, and I'm already tired of it. So I can only imagine, how other fans feel. I definitely think they would love to have a bowl somewhere in Texas, but this past year they were, UTEP was going to go to the Hawaii Bowl if they had beaten UTSA, and fans were super excited about that. So I definitely think fans are tired of the New Mexico Bowl, but I don't think they would mind being in the New Mexico Bowl again. It's so easy to travel to. It's like 4 hours north of El Paso. So I think they are tired of it, but I don't think they would mind going back.
Yeah, I feel like there's always a balance too between like being able to travel and like having like a once in a I wouldn't say lifetime, but a rare appearance, in a bowl of that magnitude, seeing your team play in the postseason in the DFW. I mean, it is great, honestly, too. I mean, if you close your eyes, you can just imagine it being the Cotton Bowl, since I mean you're in Dallas anyway, so you're in Dallas Fort Worth anyway. So I mean, that's always a plus to that. So I guess closing out, I want to ask about because I mean, we're a month away from the season. We're talking about neutral site games and bowl games. Um, I guess if UTEP goes bowling, like where do you think they would end up? Because for me, I think I guess hopeful wishful thinking I had if either New Mexico State or UTEP goes bowling this year. I've been going to the New Orleans Bowl, the prestigious New Orleans Bowl, probably the most prestigious bowl in the Conference USA lineup this year. So I guess where would you have UTEP ending up come bowl season if they do hit the 6-win plateau?
That's tough. I don't want to be basic, give you the basic answer, but I would say the New Mexico Bowl again. I think, just the way that this team is shaped out, they're looking about 7, maybe 8 wins if you really, hit your stride on time. And I think that's just going to give you another New Mexico Bowl appearance. And I don't mind it. I don't think fans mind it either. We talked about that, but yeah, I would say the New Mexico Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I see. I kind of disagree because, like, they just went 2 years ago, and I mean, I don't know if the organizers want to overuse UTEP. So, I mean, I think that the Frisco Bowl this would be the year if they do hit bowl eligibility to hit the Frisco Bowl, with it being early on in the bowl season, with them never appearing in that bowl game, and it kind of being like a lower stakes bowl because I know I think ESPN, if hopefully Army ends up making a bowl game this year, I feel like they'll be placed in like the Armed Forces Bowl, the First Responders Bowl against a Power Five team, because I feel like, excuse me, I feel like ESPN likes pairing academies against Power Five teams or like top notch Group of Five teams, because I mean it's one of those everybody loves the troops type thing. So I mean in that case, I would see UTEP going to the Frisco Bowl if they hit the plateau. Long story short.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. I wouldn't mind the Frisco Bowl as well. UTEP fans would love that. UTEP fans, like I said, they're tired of the New Mexico Bowl, but they won't. They'll travel to it anyways. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm really excited for this season. I think it's a really fun team on paper. They have a lot of players from El Paso, so that's another thing. You're really tapping into that pipeline locally, and I think fans will show out. I think the Stumble is going to be a really fun venue. And I'm ready for those midweek games. I'm ready for those midweek games.
Yeah, you and me both. I'm excited too. I mean, I just hope that I'm not working or in training on those nights or yeah, on those nights. But yeah, I am so excited for these weeknight games as well. Zay, do you have anything to plug? I know that you started a site recently, and I didn't plug your I guess the exact radio station that you plug in with at times.
Yeah, I did start a site, a recruiting database for UTEP fans. It's really easy to get to. It's updated almost weekly, so you don't have to struggle on 24/7 arrivals. Maybe they sometimes forget about smaller schools. So yeah, it's called Minor Strikes. It's on my Twitter page, and yeah, I'm usually on the air for 600 ESPN El Paso.
Yeah, so I will put those links in the bio as well. And I mean, even if you're a Conference USA fan, a Group of Five fan, if you want a finger on the pulse of recruiting the Group of Five or in Conference USA, his site is a must look at. I mean, it's great. It's greatly organized. I mean, it's really been a resource for me. And as well, I mean, 600 El Paso. I mean, Zay's doing great work. No matter, I mean, well, I mean, with everything he's doing. So I mean he's been a resource. I mean, for me on this podcast, help me learn more, and I mean, greatly appreciate his work or your work. I'm talking to the viewers. It's weird.
Man, I appreciate it. I love your content. I love being on the podcast. It's awesome. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you again, Zay, for coming on, right after work so late. I mean, I really appreciate it. And just talking about neutral site games and talking about UTEP potentially having a new rival in this brave new Conference USA world that they're entering. Do you have anything final to add?
Nope. I'm excited for some college football. Like you said, it's a month away. So let's get it.
Yep. And with that, just about a month and some change until we see UTEP take the field in those 1988 Independence Bowl uniforms against UIW that they just revealed today. I know tomorrow before work, I will be, I'll be heading over to the bookstore to get my jersey because I wasn't in El Paso when they dropped the Texas Western jerseys. I'm not missing my chance now. So, I mean, I'll be doing everything I can to get one of those jerseys. But, that being said, thank you, Zay, for coming on. Thank you, UTEP fans and Conference USA fans for tuning in. Share this as well. I know All for One Conference USA is trying to be the trying to rally around all the Conference USA fan bases, and it's hard. He's beefing with every Sun Belt fan. So share this if you can. And until next time, everyone, peace, love, and soul.